You're gonna. I'm just like sucking everything out of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna start writing all of a sudden.
But
So start that big Twain thing.
oh my god, that was hilarious. You need to start that Twain part.
Yes, I
you
should.
need to. But I mean, in general, it really. In terms of who has budding potential or who we see something in, it's whoever is not becoming depressed by what others are saying. You can take critique, but you need to know when it's not critique.
Early on, you may be. I actually have one friend on DA right now that has had some trouble with it, and I've been helping her out.
And there's just sometimes nobody to talk to about
because it's really hard sometimes, especially if you're new to a group or if you're new to an area, if you've had really bad experiences with people or things, or if you've had critiques from family. I mean, like, that's my big problem.
If you've had somebody who's been your friend for a long while and then all of a sudden they just kind of up and say, look, it was fun for a while, but now this is kind of no, or just upfront, somebody that you look up to and see as kind of a role model, whether you actually talk to them or whether they're really popular and you just kind of send them a note their way just to get an idea, and they throw you down immediately. That's enough to throw anybody down. It really is. But if you keep pursuing through it, I think that's where I would be willing, because I'm more willing to work with people if they're willing to keep going. If you're just going to stop there, I used to have a friend in school who I would draw all the time in school for physics. It was a thing that I had to draw out the lessons. I could not write them down, which is really funny because now it's more so the opposite. I write everything down versus drawing. But I had these two characters, and they were kind of like the Borzoi twins in terms of how their mouths were set up. And I would portray all of my physics lessons with comic strips of these guys, and I could ace on my test better. Hell, on the test, my physics teacher was pretty awesome. He loved blowing shit up. But for some of the tests, I actually did comic strips as the answer to the test, and I would still get graded on it. And if it was right, it was right, and I went with it because that's what I remembered. But I had one of my friends who I'd known all the way back since elementary school, and every time I was drawing, she would always compliment my drawings. She loved my art and everything, but she had that wonderful little position where, where you have your hand on your chin or your cheek, and you're just kind of sitting there in that kind of slouched, depressed mode, and it's like, I wish I could draw. I can't draw. Now, granted, I was always willing to help her out and to drawing and everything, but that's all she ever said. I can't draw. She wasn't willing to actually take out a pencil and start drawing.
If you've ever read my I Fucking Love Coloring blog, which you can see, if you guys actually do want to see that, there's a link to it on my DA in my journals. It's always at the end of it. But if you've ever read my I Fucking Love Coloring blog, I did a little strip on this. It really, there is no way to greater incur my wrath than to tell me that you want to know how to draw, especially if you ask me to teach you how to draw. I just sit there and go, I can't do it, or I don't think I can do this, or
I do this all the time. I can't fucking draw.
That makes me want to strangle people. Now with her, not so much, because I already know she can fucking draw. She's just dumb. But no, like
I draw behind your back.
My nephews have sat down and said, Hey, Hannah, teach us how to draw. Teach us how to draw something, man, Hannah. Teach us how to draw something. Okay, sit down. I do something basic with them. I'll sit down and I'll sketch out like a really simple character or a form, or a cat or a dog, or just the basic skeleton of a person, because I have my nephew want me to teach him how to draw people. So I did that basic, skeleton you always see in the books where it has circles for joints, and it has the circular head, and it has the little, hips and the little chest. This kid tried twice and then said, I can't do it. And I'm like, no, you better be trying more than that. The kid draws all the time, but wanted to put it down right then and there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm like that. When I draw a stick figure, if I can't get the expression right the first time, I'm just like, fuck this, I'll do it later.
See, not me. I just keep doing it
because I'm a concept kind of person. I have to jot things down in little notes. I can't really get past the first draft or the revision or any of that shit. I just kind of write it down, and I come back to it whenever I need to.
I do a quick sketch, and then I work from there. That quick sketch will usually end up becoming the finished product, like that little Vic Crawford thing I did today.
Yeah.
Just a real quick sketch.
Lately, it's been kind of surprising, because I'll do all the concept sketches, but then I go back and I actually finish
it, yeah.
Which is really kind of creepy.
Now, I think that everybody has potential. I don't think that everybody uses their potential. I think that's the main thing that I'm trying to get at with what I've said in this is there's a lot of people that have potential, but they don't use their potential. And there's many reasons why you may not. Yeah, you may not use it because something else interests you more. You may not use it because something else, like we were talking about earlier. Somebody may put you down and make you put it away. Like the passion rant I did the other day. If it's something that you really want to come back to, pick it back up. Do not listen to other people when they tell you can't. Don't listen to other people when they tell you don't. You got to move past that, like she said. More willing to work with somebody if they move past it. Because if you can keep moving past it and you can keep realizing that, it's worth it, do it.
I mean, when it comes down to it, think of it this way. When you are at the very bottom of the barrel and you don't think anything in your life is going to get better or anybody's going to get better around you, you default to something. What are you going to default to? What do you want to default to? A lot of people want to default to people. You can't do that because people change and you can't control how people change. And when they leave, depending on how their view of you was, they may not stay, they may not give a damn, they really aren't. But let's say you're an artist or a writer and you're all the way down. There's only really one place you can go. You can either grab a book and kind of disappear into a fantasy world there, or you can start writing, or you can start drawing and slowly start building up again.
If you need an example of that from me, take a look around my gallery on DA and go into the emotional / upset or angry folder.
She has an entire sketchbook dedicated just to emo shit.
It started in high school when I would get upset. I had this poster board that was in my room. I got so pissed off one night because my parents had yelled at me. We had this big argument. I can't remember what it was about now. But needless to say, my parents have always seemed to find a way to make me feel like I was less than what I felt I could be. And so when I would get upset, I would go and I would scribble all this stuff down and sharpen marker on this board. It didn't matter how it turned out. It didn't matter how it came out. It didn't matter, how good it was or how bad it was. It would just be there for me to get it out on. And I've covered both sides of this board. It's around here somewhere. And it's just covered in, some of the stuff's good, some of it's really terrible, and most of it is very angry. And it's just, when I don't have anything else, I know I have a sketchbook. And it's, when I don't have anybody else, I know I have a sketchbook. Even though I haven't really drawn a lot in the past couple of years that I've been with my husband and moving around to places and stuff, I have still drawn. I never fully gave it up at any one point in time. I would still draw something, even if it was just something dumb, even if it was just something to amuse the people at work, because I do that a lot. It was still something. It's
kind of gotten to the point where if she has a sketchbook in her hand, even I don't bug her. I really don't.
I don't mind being bugged.
I know you don't mind being bugged, but when I see you, like when you had the emo sketchbook or whatever, I just left you alone.
Yeah.
I am just like, let her get her out of her system. Once she's done the drawing, she'll be fine. She'll be happy. She knows I'm here if she needs me.
Not that I've had to use that much.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of, one example for me, it actually was people. When it was getting to the point where we were kind of deciding what we were going to do after high school, I actually had signed up to be a mediator at a local facility, and it was more kind of a self-help facility. And it was for people in relationships, because a lot of my friends get into these relationships and they don't know where to go with it. I wind up being the middleman.
Hi.
So, yeah, hi. I wind up being the middleman.
So who's the middleman in this relationship?
Yeah, middleman kind of turned into a total awesome man. But anyway, she's now snugging on me. Snugging! Ouchie! But anyway, I mean, I loved helping people out when they wanted opinions or just advice. She is. She's like,
cat's eating my hair.
But, I mean, I always had the people, and I don't know what was going through these people's heads, but, like, it seemed like every single time a relationship was going down, you go to Rattlecat. And when it was always, the girl would come and talk to me, and she would tell me her side of the story. And she would talk to me like I was never going to talk to this guy in my life. But here he is on another chat window talking to me. And talking to me as if she's never going to talk to me in her entire life.
So you get both sides
So I get both sides of the story without me actually interfering in it. And I give them advice on how they can better the relationship, and I also give them advice on how they can better themselves. Because in all of my relationships, I can talk to all of my exes. I've never had it where there's been a bad case of breaking up. My first relationship, he couldn't stand the distance. My second relationship, he couldn't stand the distance, and his parents had kind of forced him to move with them when they moved away, and we tried to stop it. We tried to get him to live with us, but they wouldn't have it, and the distance killed him. Third person was in the military, and we just kind of went our separate ways. Fourth person, he started to kind of, I guess, he was kind of being a mooch in a way, but he wasn't realizing it, even though he wanted to realize it, and now he does realize it.
It's kind of like how my husband was. In some ways, he was being, like...
Yeah.
Not in some ways. Okay, using my car, using my bank account, not doing anything for himself in that matter.
Yeah, not doing stuff like that, but I mean,
but not
in general...
realizing that they're doing it necessarily, too.
And, I mean, he came to his senses. He knew exactly what was going on and everything, and so I've always been able to talk to my exes, but...
We're the only pair that have actually bridged the distance to get to each other.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I've had online relationships plenty of times, but I've never had any bad relationships. And in my eyes, a good relationship is where both people can work independently of each other, but are still there for each other. And when you know there's a point where one is leaning off of the other too much, you can either help that person get back up into their individuality, or you can either continue let them pushing onto you, or you just push them away completely. And to me, a very good relationship, whether it succeeds or fails, whether you stay together or not, when you leave that relationship, you're better off as an individual, just as you would have been as a couple. Your point of views may have not worked, but when you leave a relationship, one of you shouldn't be broke and the other one has all the luxury and everything. It should be on an equal base. You both took something away from the relationship, which doesn't happen in a lot of cases. And I had a lot of people come to me, and I was like...
The script even wrote a song about it. When the heart breaks, it don't break even.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on, seriously, guys. It's really not that hard. And to me, it really wasn't that hard. I knew exactly how I was going to be in a relationship, and I knew how relationships worked. And so I would always wind up giving the advice to these people. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to be a mediator. My mom never knew anything of my online life. She doesn't know anything about the internet. She kind of figures it's one of those, okay. She's not ignorant in terms of the internet's useless to people, but she didn't think I was really doing anything with it because I wasn't actually showing her any results. Because in most of mine, it was talking and just kind of encouraging other people. There wasn't really anything for results to do with it. It was just how people were improving their lives. And so I had gotten my submission application from the facility to go ahead and sign up and do it, everything. My mom got to the mail first, and when she asked me what it was, I explained it to her. And she started laughing because she wanted to know how somebody who was sitting in a room and totally didn't want to talk to anybody was going to be able to help other people, especially people in relationships. I just threw the paper away. I didn't even bother submitting to it. I didn't do anything like that. But I did. I got depressed and I got angry and I got upset. But what did I default to? I went right back to where all my chat rooms were, Arc Rounds, my radio station, and I went back to doing what I knew I did best, which was helping people with their relationships, talking to people out of depression, and just entertaining people. And look where it's gotten me now. But I mean, in general, it's one of those things that you kind of grow up as a habit. You default when you are all the way at the bottom. You default to what you know you do best, even though you may think nothing's going to come of it. It does get you back up to where you need to be.
Yeah, and that whole dropping things because of the fact that somebody says something, you really can't do it. I mean, I was given a guitar for Christmas one year. I was so terrified because my dad is very much kind of the older bully kind of person. Like if he were a kid, he would have been that kid on the playground that bossed you around and made fun of you and stuff. My dad has always made fun of me. Ever since my mom married him when I was 12 or 13 years old. He's my stepdad. My biological dad is not in the picture anymore. He lives in town somewhere.
He's a
but
creeper.
I never see. Yeah, he's very creepy.
He's a creeper.
And he's also kind of crazy religious, but that's a different story altogether.